Hello everyone, I'm kinda Tony and welcome back to Dishonored. And it seems we're back at the Hound Pits pub now. So let's go. Mission clues. Okay, nothing new really. Speak to Admiral Havelock. Use the heart. Yes, we will do that. Can I? Okay. So a funny thing I noticed with the tattoo we got on our left hand. I noticed it was there when we were swimming earlier as well, so it's always been there. Bone charms. Provide a small supernatural benefit. Locate them by listening for the song they emit. By default, you can activate up to 3 bone charms at once in the bone charms section of the journal. Okay. Void channel powers effects slightly improved. So I can just put void channel. What is that? Okay, so it just improves everything. Like all the powers. And there's another one. And another one. Mystical whale artifact. What the? Okay, white rat's friend. White rats won't attack you. So I guess there are different colored rats. Gutter feast. White rats can be consumed for mana. Okay. Let's just... Oh, and now I have 3 out of 4. It used to be 3 out, like the limit used to be 3, so maybe the artifact I picked up is upgrading my limit. Enables 1 additional bone charm to be active, yeah, okay. Cool. And then there's a book, The Journal of Granny Rags. Excerpt from the ramblings of a street denizen. Of course I'll tell you, dearie. I won't keep any secrets from you in the end. All the dreary days of my life are like the windows of a house. From the kitchen, I can see out into the garden where the leaves and stalks are brown and bug-eaten. You can see a little lump of dirt where something was wrapped in a blanket and laid to rest along the rows of twisting vines. The front room looks out into the street, where the neighbors are all setting fire to their homes, barricading themselves inside. Warm and snug, dearie. Don't forget about the bedroom either. It sees into a dreary alley, where hooligans are playing a game with an old man. The first 2 are hitting him with sticks, and the girl with them is kicking at his dry old ribs. Oh, to have those bones, to boil them in a pot. No one lives in my house anymore, dearie. No one you'd want to meet. When I lived there with my husband, we were fine, fine people. Vera amore, everyone would say. Your house is as grand as Boyle Manor. Better, even. Your dinners are lavish, and your parties are the best. When that young Sokolov came to paint my portraits, I was nearly still in my prime. Radiant, he said. And he was just barely a man. So young. Painting all the best people across the land. Everyone wanted a portrait by his hand. All my friends. I was the only one, dearie, wet with his paint, glistening on the canvas for a pretty coin. But it wasn't all parties and paintings. My husband and I weren't always at home, no. We travelled together, he and I, to the far ends of the Isles, beyond even, all the way to the red cliffs of Pandysia, to dig in the rock and crawl through the caves, holding up candles and squinting at the walls. Many precious things we came upon, but none so precious as the boy with the black eyes, dearie. All those marks and bones, carved so deep and polished so bright. I brought the old bones home, hid them from my dear husband. Then I learned to boil them and carve them myself. They made such good presents, dearie. The little mute boy took them home. He loved them so. All the time he came back with new bones for me, holding them up so I could see it in his eyes, even though his tongue was still. Granny, his eyes would say to me, carve these bones for me, make me another present. And he went so far, all the way to Dunwall Tower, the royal headsman himself now. My little mute boy and his shiny, shiny sword. Better bones were what I needed, you see. Better bones to carve and polish, scrape and gleam. My dear old husband was always tired. I made him soup and then he was sick. Better bones was all. For my little mute boy, carved in the name of the one with black eyes. And after my husband was gone, given away as birthday gifts, I didn't want to live there anymore. So now I'm old and don't have many to give my presents to. It's sifting through the garbage for granny rags and feeding the little birdies that gather at my feet. No one wants to have tea, dearie. Especially those rude louts on Bottle Street, Slack Joe and his boys, always meddling with an old woman just trying to make her way. In the end, we'll be together with him, you and me in the dreary night with stars above and below, and always the one with the black eyes, dearie. Interesting journal. Oh, lots of stuff. Rat artifact, bone charm, pouch, another artifact. What is going on? Is this supposed to... Seems like too much loot. Okay, so I can have 5. Did I pick up? Yes, I did. Breath capacity in water increased slightly. Moderate keyhole peeping magnification. Well, I mean, could be good. Delicate touch, breaking glass sound is moderately reduced. River affinity, swim speed increased slightly. Enemies miss more often with arrows and bolts. Drop assassination gives you a bit of health. Okay, so what would be good for me? I guess this and delicate touch, I suppose. Just in case I'm breaking some glass. I don't know. Right, now I can probably have another one. Yes. Then... should I enter combat, it would probably be nice to have some quick dodging. Field survey notes, the Royal Spy. Excerpt from the personal memoirs of Hiram Burroughs, dated several years earlier. This is the 4th day, month of high cold. Progress continues on the suppression of gang activity in the distillery district, but more slowly than I'd expected. The ruffians operating there have been cunning, I'll grant them that, but it's only a matter of time. I'll see their leaders flogged in public and sent beneath the royal executioner's blade. If I had my way, that mute bastard would be working night and day, removing the heads that need removing. Internally, the Empress does not seem pleased with my investigations. It seems that it is beyond her thinking, against her very nature as a trusting person, to believe that traitors move among us, but I know they do. They must. No, Jessamine would rather spend her time with the royal protector. At least he is likely to stop any immediate threat to her safety, but a strong arm is not what's needed against those who would undermine us. How will Corvo's sword stop a poisoned wine glass, or an explosive delivered by courier? It will not. There are many threats around us, threats requiring meticulous efforts to police. Young Lady Emily is undisciplined, I'm afraid. Here within Dunwall Tower, she receives instruction from the finest tutors known in the Isles, yet her mother spoils her, and she spends most of her time lost in imagination, wasting her time drawing or asking Corvo to teach her to fight with wooden sticks. The girl might rule the Empire someday. Every moment spent at play is a moment wasted. Shoring up security for the main gate leading into Dunwall Tower has been another pet project of late. To think that back in his day, Emperor Kaldwin left it open to the public during the day, allowing anyone to come and go as they pleased. If it were up to me, I'd seal off access to the streets entirely, but the Empress won't hear of it. The water lock is much easier to protect, and if it were the only way into the tower, traffic in and out would be greatly reduced. Someday, the wrong person is going to slip in and will suffer for it, mark my words. No amount of security is excessive when it comes to protecting heads of state. The Empress also disapproves of my plans for the Sokolov devices. Sokolov himself has no interest in security, of course, but he is vain and therefore keen to see his inventions deployed in any fashion. This wall of light he's been tinkering with has promise. In any case, at least I was able to convince the Empress to upgrade the pistols carried by the officers of the watch. Why do I worry so, when no one else seems to care? If I ever fall asleep, will it all sink into the ocean? Will the rough things clamber over the walls and fill themselves on our flesh? This is what I see in the same dream several times each month. If only I had more say in things, more authority, I could protect us all. Perhaps I've been working too hard. Dinner and an evening of conversation with a certain lady of refinement might be in order. Perhaps somewhere nice in the estate district. Hiram Burrows, Royal Spymaster. Rumors and sightings. Dodd. Excerpt from an Overseer's covert field report. For over a year now, I have lived away from the Abbey, without the company of my Overseer brethren or the guidance of the blind sisters of the Oracular Order. Days have passed with me sleeping in the dens of cutpurses, murderers, and worse, and the nights have seen me prowling through the worst alleys and wretched corners of Dunwall. I have taken my meals with killers. At times I have ventured beyond the city walls, meeting in forgotten graveyards and the outlying ruins frequented by those of ill means. My beard has grown long, and I wear the weathered clothing and bits of boiled leather favored by the Bottle Street and Hatter gangs, and by those rough men and women who make their trade knifing others in return for coins. My hands have run red with blood, it's true, but I have selected my targets with care, choosing among those criminals and heretics who are not fit to live, executing them justly, and using their deaths as a means of building my reputation. So far, this trick has allowed me to make my name among my murderous colleagues without taking the lives of the innocent. My goal is singular. I must impress the assassin named Dodd in order to get close to him. Of all the practitioners of black magic we have tracked, none concern the abbey as much as Dodd. It is said that his mother was a witch from one of the archipelagos off the Pandician coast, taken captive by pirates venturing far from the Isles. According the legend, by the time the ship returned, the captain was dead and the witch controlled the crew, with Dodd still a shadow in her belly. The earliest stories tell of a gang killer without mercy, moving among the shopkeepers and city watch officers of Dunwall like a reaper through wheat. Then a period of silence followed. Years, we now believe, he spent traveling the Isles, studying anatomy and the occult in the great halls of learning and in hidden basements frequented by fellow dabblers in the forbidden arts. Dodd is even purported to have spent a winter in the Academy of Natural Philosophy itself. And for a time, before a schism developed, he counted the Brigmore witches among his allies. All the while, he honed his craft, and it is during this time that we believe he began to consort with the outsider. New reports emerged of a dusky-skinned assassin paid by the elite to eliminate their rivals in Dunwall and in the other major cities across the Isles. Those who saw him and lived numbered in the handful, but all of them reported something strange. He appeared and vanished like smoke. From a nearby rooftop, he gestured, and a noble woman stumbled from her balcony, falling to her doom on the cobblestones below. Most recently, as this new threat of plague has arisen in Dunwall, Dodd has been seen leading a gang of men in dark leather, dressed as factory whalers in their vapor masks. They seem loyal beyond comprehension for one so unworthy, leading me to wonder if some of his magic is dedicated to lulling their minds, enslaving them. Only a month ago, one young girl claims to have come upon a strange scene. Carrying a bottle of milk home to her crippled brother, she was taking a shortcut through the tailor's district. In a narrow street, she passed beneath a window and heard unusual sounds from within. Pushing aside the ratty curtain, the girl saw into an abandoned apartment used by miscreants for gambling and trading haberweed. An occult shrine had been erected against the far wall, which she recognized from the teachings given by her local overseer. A man she described as resembling Dodd was kneeling before the shrine, muttering to an unseen spirit as if in argument. He took a carving, made of pale bone, from the altar before him, and the lights all went out in a gush of unclean wind. Quiet as a field mouse, she slipped away, running until she reached her home. There can be no doubt. Dodd is an agent of the outsider and must die, for there is no limit to the evil this man might do. This is my solemn oath and the great purpose of my life. Until Dodd is dead and his corruption has been purged from the world, I will continue to move among the depraved, winding my way toward him. I will not drop my guise or don my overseer's mask again until Dodd breathes no more. Okay, so Dodd is another dude that has gotten some powers from the overseer. Oh, even more. So 7, and damage from explosions reduced slightly. Win sword versus sword contests more frequently. Shot whiskey bottles explode with greater intensity. Okay. I'm thinking maybe just go for swim speed. I don't know how much I'm gonna be swimming, but probably a little bit. And 500 coins. I have 3,000 coins now? What? Early life and criminal records. Slackjaw. Excerpt from a series of letters sent by a member of the Bottle Street gang. You want the chinwag on Slackjaw? What it was like when he was young? Before he got his name? Oh, he's got a cool head now, but it weren't always like that in the days before he was boss of the Bottle Street gang. Time was, young Slackjaw wasn't such a reasonable man. Like most of us, he grew up on the streets, running with a pack of ragamuffins and avoiding the law, pinching whatever he needed, dark-haired and dark-eyed, smoking a pipe by the age of 10. For them born into the brothels or coming from the orphanages, it was either the gangs or working with the mudlarks, and no one wants that. Some got pressed into the navy or put down into the mines, in the mines run by the Pendleton or Boyle families. As hard as it was on the streets, as hungry as we all got, at least we was free. By the time we weren't little uns anymore, Slackjaw was one to watch, usually calling the shots when we took down a farmer's cart or sidewalk street vendor. He'd come up with a plan, give everyone some part to play, and decide on the split. Most of us just went along, because we learned fast that we made out better like that. More food, more coin. Plus none of us wanted to deal with Slackjaw when he was in a rage. He worked on a couple of big jobs with Black Sally across town, and that was enough to get the attention of the other bosses. He wasn't just a street kid anymore. Now he was an up-and-comer, which meant trouble. Another guy who fancied himself as such was Mike the Fish, who was working his way up running the protection racket among the factory women. One fine evening, we were all taking in a bawdy show in the theater house. Mike the Fish and his lot are there in the cheap seats too, just down the aisle from us. Mike gets a wild idea. He wasn't big on planning, and throws a heavy ceramic spittoon at Slackjaw. Hits him square in the face and breaks his jaw. We look to see if there's gonna be a blood brawl, but Slackjaw just points at the door, and we all leave, with Mike laughing at our backs. Waking up the next day without telling us why, Slackjaw motions for us all to follow. He still can't say a word, so we just come along. We stop at the docks, and Slackjaw actually pays coin for it. A heavy chain covered in hooks. It's for fishing in the deep, something you'd attach to a long line off the side of a ship. It's about 4 feet, made of thick links, and there are shark hooks coming off it at different angles. Slackjaw's got that thing wrapped around his left arm, dangling at his side. Not sure how we knew where Mike the Fish was staying, but when we reach his girl's house, Slackjaw throws a bottle through the window just like that. It's almost noon. There's a bunch of screaming inside, and Mike pokes his head out, looking wide-eyed and baffled. When he sees Slackjaw out in the streets, a look comes over his face that still gives me the willies. Pure murder. Mike comes out the side door bellowing like a blood ox, holding a cleaver, heading straight for Slackjaw. When they come together in the street, Slackjaw spins and the shark hooks bite deep into Mike's arm and shoulder. He screams, but Slackjaw holds on to the chain. He's standing there with his jaw broken, clenched tight, with the chain wrapped around his left arm. Hooks sunk into Mike the fish, just knifing him as fast as he can. Mike couldn't fight very well, hooked like that and using his left hand. But he was a big guy and it took a lot of stabbing before he went to his knees. Everyone was cheering at first, but then we all went quiet. It just kept going and going, until finally it was just Mike the fish blubbering, crying like a baby, and the sound of Slackjaw's knife. When it was over, and here's the brilliant part, Slackjaw took out a note and stuck to Mike's face with a nail. It just said, "If you want a job, come to Bottle Street." Slackjaw didn't talk right for a couple of months, but word spread fast. By the end of the year, once we had a sizable gang going, he sent out letters to the other bosses, telling them that he was running a brand new crew over on Bottle Street. Most of them laughed or beat up the guys who delivered the letters. Green Eye Trish even came back missing a thumb. But apparently, Slackjaw was expecting that kind of reaction and had a backup plan. A week later, 4 of the bosses were dead. Seemed like a series of unfortunate events, but everyone knew better. One shot dead by the watch while standing in the middle of a meat market. Another slipping and falling into the water, out cold. One of the older bosses found in bed with his belly opened wide and a Tivian pear stuffed into his mouth. Still not sure what that meant. And Sheila Barnsworth was found bubbling in a cauldron of hot wax. Slackjaw sent out another set of letters. Offers to the underbosses, telling them they'd be treated fair as peers. He even sent Green Eye Trish with one of the letters. All of the underbosses accepted. After spilling the guts of his main competition, Slackjaw went in for stabilizing his business. Real neat-like. Calling in favors, smoothing things over, giving everyone a little bit of coin or drink as a bonus. Showing what it could be like as a boss. So everything got quiet, which always makes the boys of the City Watch nervous, of course. Word went out among the Royal Spymaster's snitches, the responsible citizens group they called themselves, telling everyone working in a shop or sweeping off the front steps of their homes to keep watchful eyes for Slackjaw and his men, trying to suss out what they were up to and what had just happened. But Slackjaw ain't stupid. He greased a few palms among the shopkeepers and the watch too, telling them that he was in town to stay and that things would be run properly from now on, without so much blood. He was finally a real boss, ready to settle into the business of moving whiskey, running the Hound fights, and offering up the ladies and gentlemen of the night, if you take my meaning. The plague came. At first, it seemed like a good thing. A few people got sick, and everyone wanted to buy those potions from Sokolov or Piero. Health elixir or spiritual remedy, they call them. Slackjaw told me he saw an opportunity. We already had an old whiskey factory with a still, where we could water the stuff down and sell it discounted. Doing the same with Sokolov's elixir was a smart plan. Pretty soon, everybody in the slums was sick, and business was good. But after a while, there were so many people down with plague that everyone got scared. Everybody started acting real nasty and everything fell apart. When people can't work, They don't have the coin for elixir, watered down or pure. When the Empress died, it seemed like Dunwall would slide into the void. Spymaster Burroughs took over, and the Watch started using all that new Sokolov technology. Watchtowers, tall buoys, and them arc pylons. They put up a wall of light across Clavering Boulevard and cracked down hard. But Slackjaw surprised us again. Instead of leaving town on a boat bound for Morley or one of the other isles, he stayed and kept it all together. We get as much elixir to fight off the plague as the City Watch with their taxes and rations, and that's kept us alive so far. Crowley, Bottle Street Gang. Slackjaw's a real character then. Alright, I should probably just go downstairs. Looks quite good actually. Also, I remember that there was somewhere I wanted to go that I didn't do when I explored this whole place. I didn't follow this thing around. Yeah, might seem pointless. Cool. Alright, I will come through the front door then.
Believe it? Oh. That pile of wood out there? It's a hovel he built from an old rowboat. Where does Admiral Havelock find these people, I wonder?
Sup? Yeah. So, I was to find the rune, yeah. The heart. No, that's not the right button. Ah, it's right there. Yeah, I didn't pick up the power to possess yet. But I want to come back and possess that fish and get through the sewer gates. Oh, hello. The getting out of the water isn't always very easy. Clear away. Powers. The powers you obtain from runes can be used creatively to defeat enemies or move through the environment, blink from roof to roof, possess rats and fish, or slow time before rushing a group of enemies. Yes. And the only thing I can get with this one is vitality. I don't think I want to do that. I shouldn't need it. Famous last words. Leave me alone. Hey guys.
Well, let's get down to it. First off, I know that assassination is dark business, but sometimes good men have to do bad things to make the world right. Our purpose is clear. We want to restore Her Majesty's line by finding and putting Emily Kaldwin on the throne. To those ends, we'll hide, act in shadow, take them apart, piece by piece. Tonight, High Overseer Campbell dies by your hand. It won't be easy. He's protected by his overseers, an army of religious zealots. But if anyone can do it, you can. Your exploits are legendary. Campbell carries a private journal. Once you've eliminated him, get the journal, because we think it contains Emily's location. Recovering her is obviously critical, assuming she's alive. That's the gist of it. Remember our cause and strike true. We're counting on you. Another thing. Campbell is holding a former overseer by the name of Martin. He's one of us, and if you manage to find him, give him whatever help you can. He's a master strategist, and he got caught working for our cause. It'd be good to have him back here at the Hound Pits.
Okay. Find Martin and kill Campbell.
Glad to see you got your rest, Corvo. You'll need it.
I'll just read your book. The Exquisite Tallboy. Excerpt from a letter of public concern by anonymous authors. What you've read here is the truth, regardless of what you will hear from the authorities who rule over us. It is not a matter of coincidence that the former royal spymaster is the one who stepped in when the late Empress fell. We, who will remain nameless, believe that these events are interconnected. The signs of oppression are all around us. The Sokolov designs, originally intended to provide light and warmth in our homes, have been turned against us as a means of inspiring fear and controlling our movements through the city. And where did this plague originate? Some say it was imported. A wild theory? Perhaps. One of our members risked her life to obtain an internal report from the government, which we will be printing and sharing soon, called The Exquisite Tallboy, extolling the virtues of this newest member of the City Watch. To those in the streets below, these virtues are horrors spread by stilted thugs who rain down fire on the sick and the poor. To these eyes, the Tallboy is another government bully, armed with incendiary devices, thickly armored and standing high overhead, looking down at the common people of the city. We now know that the Tallboys are heavily drugged, imbibing a substance that renders them resistant to pain, but also dulls whatever empathy they might normally possess. Exquisite? We think not. Copy these words and share them with your neighbors. And remember, when the tides are lowest, the truth will be revealed. So the Tallboys are the things that looked like the Half-Life creatures.
Good day, Master Corvo.
Good eye. Good eye, mate. Okay, do you have anything new?
I had a sailor for a boyfriend once. He thought he'd strike gold digging in the Pandician cliffs. They found his ship drifting empty. You know, I tried to attend services with the overseers for a while. They've just gotten more and more, I don't know, rabid about the 7 strictures and witchcraft and all that nonsense. I think the Admiral's awfully distinguished, don't you?
Distinguished gentleman. Okay. How are you in the way? Hello?
Corvo. Hello. I'm Callista. I work here for Admiral Havelock. I'm sorry to intrude on your business, but this is important. I suspect you're going to kill the High Overseer. That wretched man. There's really no reason for you to listen to me. But my uncle, Jeff Kernow, still serves as captain in the City Watch. But he's a good man, and my only family. The chatter in servant circles is that Campbell just took delivery of an exotic poison. And I think I know why. My uncle's not corruptible like the rest of them. Campbell is going to poison my uncle. Do you think you could protect him? You used to do that, right? Before you had your current profession. Before you became an assassin.
I'm not really an assassin, I wouldn't say. So, yeah. Save our uncle. What's up? Okay. Cannot talk to you, okay. And Piero, my dude. I need some upgrades.
What can I do for you?
Let's talk about upgrades and new equipment. Hell yeah. So, what's... Well, this could be useful. I have 3,000 coins, so it's like I can probably get most of the things here. Let's get that. At least one. And bolt capacity, is that also for sleep darts? Yeah, I'll get that. Magnifier view. Okay, let's get that. Pistol, I don't think I'm gonna be using that too much. That could be useful though, if I get detected and then wanna just get away. Also that. Reload. And crossbow range. And crossbow accuracy. And then I'm thinking next time we would get the combat sleep darts. Oh, you can buy runes? I didn't even think of that. Okay, whatever. Ah, no. The capacity was just for regular bolts. Okay, fine. Thank you, Piero. So I'm guessing this is the end of the episode.
Ready to go? Just give the signal.
Yeah, so
I'll be here.
we'll end this episode here. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.